Have you ever felt like you're capable of more, but something keeps pulling you back? Something invisible, not a lack of talent, not even a lack of opportunity, but something quieter. The people around you, the people you love, the people you trust, the people who, without even realizing it, are quietly destroying your dreams. Napoleon Hill once said, "You are the average of the 5 people you spend the most time with." That's not just a quote, that's a law, because environment isn't just where you live, it's what you listen to. It's what you absorb. It's what shapes the limits of your mind. When Hill studied over 500 of the world's wealthiest, most successful men, from Henry Ford to Thomas Edison to Andrew Carnegie, he realized something profound. Every successful person eventually outgrew their surroundings. They stopped seeking validation from small minds. They stopped sharing their vision with people who couldn't see it. They started creating their own circle, a circle of belief, persistence, and growth. Now let's be honest. Most of us live in environments where dreams are treated like jokes. You tell your friend you want to start a business and they laugh. You tell your family you want to study abroad and they panic. You tell your coworker you're going to quit your job and chase your passion. They call you crazy. But here's what Hill discovered. Every time you listen to those voices, your subconscious absorbs their limitations. Their fear becomes your reality. Their comfort becomes your cage. You see, the mind works like a sponge. It doesn't filter what's right or wrong. It just absorbs what's repeated. If the people around you constantly speak of doubt, scarcity, and fear, your mind slowly begins to believe that's all that exists. And then your dream begins to shrink, not because it was impossible, but because your environment didn't give it oxygen. Think of it like this. If you put a shark in a small tank, it'll stay tiny. But the same shark in the ocean can grow to over 10 feet long. The environment decides the size of your growth. Napoleon Hill called this the Mastermind principle. He believed no one succeeds alone. Every success story is born out of the right alliances, people who encourage, challenge, and elevate you. But here's the tragedy. Most people form what Hill called a negative mastermind. They spend their days surrounded by complainers, critics, and cynics, people who've accepted mediocrity as their destiny. And then they wonder why they never break out. The people you trust can either be your ladder or your leash. Ask yourself this. When was the last time someone you know genuinely pushed you to become better? Not out of jealousy, but out of love? When was the last time someone looked you in the eyes and said, "I believe in you, go do it"? If you can't recall that moment, maybe you've been surrounded by the wrong energy for too long. Napoleon Hill didn't just write about success. He lived among failures. He saw how people with extraordinary potential destroyed their own futures because they couldn't detach from the people holding them back. He once said, deliberately, seek the company of people who influence you to think and act on building the life you desire, not the ones who clap when you stay small. Now, this doesn't mean you have to cut off everyone. It means you have to redefine your boundaries. Love your friends, but don't take advice from those who haven't walked your path. Respect your family, but don't let their fears decide your destiny. Be kind to everyone, but protect your energy like your life depends on it, because it does. Your dream is like a seed, and it can only grow in fertile soil. If you plant it among weeds, it will suffocate. If you water it with doubt, it will rot. But if you surround it with sunlight, with belief, discipline, and purpose, it will flourish. And here's the part most people ignore. Sometimes the people closest to you are not rooting for your failure, but they're afraid of your success, because your growth reminds them of their stagnation. When you change, you force others to see what they could have become. That's why success feels lonely, because not everyone wants to climb that mountain with you. Napoleon Hill understood this deeply. That's why he warned, keep your mouth closed and your eyes open. Don't announce your dreams to those who've never dared to dream. Work in silence. Let your results make the noise. If your circle doesn't talk about ideas, creation, or progress, change your circle. Because small talk kills big dreams. Now think about your environment again. Who are you becoming because of the people you're around? Are you more inspired or more exhausted? Do your friends celebrate your progress or do they make you feel guilty for it? Hill taught that success begins in the mind, but the mind is shaped by environment. And if you're not consciously designing your environment, someone else is doing it for you. Look around. What music do you listen to? What pages do you follow online? Who do you text when you're lost? What kind of conversations fill your day? Every small input is shaping who you become. So if you want to transform your life, start with your surroundings. Replace gossip with gratitude. Replace negativity with knowledge. Replace doubters with dreamers. When Hill wrote Think and Grow Rich, he wasn't just talking about money. He was talking about mental wealth, the richness of belief, the abundance of purpose. And he warned, poverty begins in the mind long before it shows up in your wallet. That's why you can't afford to keep poor thinkers around you. Their energy is contagious. Their doubts will echo in your head when you need courage the most. You must create what Hill called your positive mental environment. That means surrounding yourself with people who remind you of who you can be, not who you used to be. People who talk more about possibilities than problems. People who hold you accountable when you start making excuses. Remember, growth is painful not because it's hard, but because it separates you from the familiar. And the familiar is comfortable, but comfort is where potential goes to die. The world doesn't reward those who stay in their comfort zone. It rewards those who outgrow it. That's why Hill's most powerful teaching wasn't about wealth or success. It was about control. Control over your mind, your influences, and your environment. Because once you master those, everything else falls into place. So here's a truth you might not want to hear. You can read every book, watch every motivational video, and still fail, and if you keep listening to the wrong people, no strategy can survive a negative environment. You can't be a lion if you keep walking with sheep. And that's the reason so many talented people never rise. Because they've built their dreams inside someone else's limits. Stop asking people for directions to a place they've never been. Hill said, "Tell the world what you intend to do, but first show it." Meaning, stop explaining your path to those who can't see your destination. Protect your peace. Guard your focus. And never let another person's small vision shrink your destiny. If someone tells you your dream is too big, it's because they've already given up on theirs. So listen closely. You don't owe anyone your potential. You don't have to apologize for wanting more. And you don't need approval to rise. All you need is faith and in yourself and in the law Hill discovered long ago. Whatever the mind of man can conceive and believe, it can achieve. But belief doesn't survive in darkness, it needs light. And that light is the company you keep. So choose your environment like your life depends on it, because it does. Find people who speak life into your dreams. Find people who remind you that you're capable. Find people who make you uncomfortable, not because they criticize you, but because they challenge you to grow. In the end, you'll realize something powerful. You don't have to cut everyone off, you just have to climb. Because those meant to be with you will climb too. The rest will stay where they are. And that's okay. Because your journey is not a group trip. It's a calling. And if you want to answer it, remember Napoleon Hill's greatest hidden law. Change your environment, and your environment will change you. So the next time someone tells you your dream is impossible, just smile and keep building. Because one day they'll ask you how you did it. And you'll tell them, I just stopped listening to people who didn't believe.